Hey everybody, Ronaldo Hoffman here with the ADJ WiFLY NE1 video manuals. Today I want to talk to you about the profile creator. When you first, actually, if you don't have this app, just go to the ADJ website, search the NE1, and you can download it. And now the zip file will not open in your standard Windows unzip program. WinRAR seems to work really well to be able to open it. Otherwise, it seems you get some sort of error or something. It took me a while to figure that out. This is a mostly text program. By mostly, it's pretty much all text. And it looks kind of confusing, but once you play with it a couple of times, it's really easy. And it allows you to modify existing profiles to work exactly how you want it to. So today, we are going to work on the Inno Color Beam LED. This is one of my favorite moving heads as far as what I call the classic moving head type effect. There's no gobos, just big, strong, thick beams. Now, if you look at the manual here, we have two modes. We have one channel mode and 13 channel mode. We're not even going to mess with one channel mode. That's just silly. We're going to do 13 channel mode. And we're going to go ahead and plug it in. So the very first thing we need to do is we need to go over here and we're going to name it. So we are going to name it. We're going to do Inno LED 13. Oh, that's right. You can only have so many characters. So we're going to do In LED 13. And it's a 13 channel. Now I'm going to hit enter, and then it'll pop up right there. Now, if I go back and forth, I know that we have pan, pan fine, tilt, tilt fine, red, green, blue, and white. So, our first channel is going to be pan, pan fine, tilt, tilt fine. Now notice the default. This is basically when you select the fixture, where it's going to park, what the default channel is. If you want the lights, for example, if you're making a circle and you want the circle to go towards the dance floor, you're going to need to change your default setting so the light parks itself to be pointed towards the dance floor, if that makes sense. And there's going to be a little bit more on that later on. Next, we have red, green, blue, and white. For now, I'm just keeping this manual very simple. So let's see. We have red. We don't have red fine, so we don't need to worry about that. We have green. We have blue. And then we have white. All right, easy so far. Next, we have our shutter or strobe. Now, with the NE1, you really only have one option. There's shutter and strobe. And the default value is at 0. Now, it says that the shutter is closed at 0. We don't want that. I want the shutter to be open. So I'm just going to write 33. I like to do 1 over just to be safe. Now, with the strobe function, there is no max and min on this board yet. What that means is I can't tell it where the beginning of the strobe function is. See, this one has strobing, slow open, and random open. However, I have confirmed, you got to give it time, that they will add on where you can actually tell it where the strobing is. So when you hit the strobe button, it would only go from 64 to 95 or whatever you specify it to be. But that won't come out until a later firmware update. Let's continue on. So we've got master dimmer, rainbow, pan tilt movement, and speed. So I'm actually going to kind of work backwards because I want to show you something. So first, let's do the master dimmer. All right. So we have our dimmer here. And we want the dimmer to be solid on. We have the rainbow. And I'm going to skip that for just a second. I'll tell you why in a moment. Next, we have the pan and tilt movement speed. So let's see here. Pan and tilt speed. All right. And right now, it's set at 0. And if you look here, 0 to 225 is max and min movement speed. Then you have blackout by movement and no function. And this does some internal programs that the light has or internal functions that the light has. Blackout by movement means that the light shuts off when it's moving, which is really good for more theatrical type settings. But right now, the max and min movement speed, we'll leave it at 0. If I want to change it, I can always change it in the board itself. Maybe at 0, it's way too slow. So we're going to leave it at 100. So when it moves, it's at a decent movement. Obviously I can speed it up or slow it down on the board if I need to. But I'm going to leave it at 100 for the default. And then we have our internal programs. So I'm just going to go over here. And we are going to choose. Let's see here. Where is it? You have a couple different ones, right? you've got programs, but I don't want to do programs. We're going to do show because I want to be able to actually select the shows. And I'll cover that in just a moment. So we're going to name, these are all named properly. Now, last but not least is the rainbow. And by having this assigned, the internal shows to show, the show button on the NE1, I'll be able to select the shows. But how can I select these internal ones? Well, since there's no, or these internal colors, since there's no gobos, we're going to use, name this channel, 11, as our gobo. But that's only the channel type. We're going to rename it to be color, so CLR, program. Okay? And default at 0. Next, we have our next screen is automatically generated. And these are colors that are pretty much done for you. If you want to change them, you can. And you can see that it just starts with red, then red with a little bit of green, and so forth. And actually, as it builds up, it's almost like a rainbow type sequence. From red all the way to green to blue in various shades. You can obviously change it if you want to. These are if you have lights with multiple red channels. For example, the color sweep or the beam sweeper or anything that has pixel mapping options. We do not have a CMY color wheel, so we don't need to worry about that. Next, we have our gobo and color show wheels. So we don't have gobos, but we are assuming that these are going to be our quote-unquote gobos. So our first gobo or color is on 10, 40, 72. So we have 0, and 0 is no function. So that means that whatever color is on the actual right here on this pan and tilt, or not pan and tilt, sorry, on the colored part, I want to hit gobo 1 to be able to control with these colors. Now the moment that I hit the second gobo, then it would go into these internal rainbow programs. So we have 10, 40, 72. 10, 40. Now some people recommend you do a number halfway in between. Obviously, it really doesn't matter. 104, 136, 168. 104, 136, 168. 200. And there's my rainbow colors. Now, we have cross-fading colors, slow to fast. I don't have a fader to be able to do that, so I'm just going to do some in between. So we have 232 to 255. So we'll do 232. Let's do 240, 245, 250, 255. So now that means that my gobos will be the color sequences. 0 meaning that it will be RGBW controlled, okay, or with the preset patterns that the board has, or I can go into these pre-made programs that are built into the light itself, and the last few of them are cross-fading colors from slow to fast, okay. Next we have our internal programs. So our internal programs, we have the normal, motor reset, no function. So I just want to go internal program 1 through 7. And then sound active. So we have 100, 120, 140, 160, 180. So basically, let's go back over here. So it's in multiples of 20. So we have 100, 120, 140, 160. And because I can shut off the shows, I don't need to have a normal one. I'll just shut off the show if I don't want to use it. So it goes all the way to 240. 200, that's 255. I don't know how to type. 200, 220, and 240. Let's see if there's anything else that I want. If you want to reset your motor, of course, you could do a motor reset function if you choose to do so. And let's say you wanted to have that on your very last page, number 24, or obviously over here, sorry. You could certainly do that if you wanted to. And that way, if my lights need to be reset, we're good to go there. And that's it. I'm going to save my fixture as. And I can't remember what the heck I named it. Oh, INN LED 13. So INN LED 13. There